Shall we begin?
You are now listening to an altogether less fashionable variety of soccer podcast. Broadcasting live from the capital city of Columbus, Ohio. Welcome to
ACES Radio.
I got the new wings with the Zima flavor sauce.
I've given this no thought whatsoever.
Hashtag probably riding cock.
They're in your face. They're a little different. I think it's super cool. I love them. Jamie, ignorant slut.
Hold on to your butts.
Now, here are your hosts.
Not Morgan Hughes. Rest.
John Zadar. And Darby Snarpus.
Greetings, shitlords, edgelords, and bezlords. If you're listening to this, you apparently you're a Crew fan, and we don't know why. Because
not after this week,
right? You're here listening to ACES Radio, though, the show that is actually able to score a goal in the run of play against FC Cincinnati, unlike other certain teams, not to be mentioned. Yeah. John, how's it going, buddy? Happy Save the Crew week.
It's a day, Darby. It's not a whole week. We don't celebrate for a whole week. It's a single day.
Yeah, this is like,
it's come and gone. And
you know how like woo girls will have a birthday month. This is Save the Crew week. It's the whole thing. We're a couple of days past. It was technically on the 12th, but it was this week, so it's Save the Crew week.
Yep, no, that's not how that works.
Well, I'm gonna walk around just like those same woo girls with a little what are they called? Paper clip thing, of money attached to my chest, so that people can give me dollar bills. Isn't that a thing?
John, I put all my dollar bills in your G-string, and you know that. Get that weak shit out of here.
As long as you're giving me your dollar bills, that's pretty much all I care about.
I do. So, Brent, how are things going? How's the arm? Did you do anything special on Save the Crew Day? What's new in Brontville?
Nothing too new. No, the arm is fine. Out of that weird brace thingy that you guys were having some fun with at the party, the watch party the other day. No, it's been a pretty boring week, capped off by just a horrible night of watching soccer, or what was supposed to be soccer. But hey, I guess I did get my, finally after over a month, I got my Manchester United Christen Press jersey in the mail today, so I guess the week hasn't been entirely terrible.
Nice.
Nice. Did they ship it to you fresh and hot overseas?
Yes, it did have to come from England.
Yeah, like she kissed it before she put it in the mail directly to you.
Oh my god, I wish they would have informed me of that, because that would be amazing.
All right. So, John, what's new in your life? I feel like I just saw you a couple of days ago in a socially distant backyard gathering.
Well, Darby, you feel that way because you, in fact, did. That did happen. I'm fine. I'm good.
You get hit by any walnuts after I left?
I did get hit in the foot. I don't remember if it was before or after you left, but I did get hit in the foot. There was quite a barrage of them, supposedly. According to Shrek, who was doing drunk math by the time it was time to go and trying to figure out the square foot area underneath the tree and then what percentage of that the tops of our heads actually took up, the probability of us getting hit by them was very small.
And yet multiple people did get hit, just not in the head.
But yeah, that's what I told Shrek. I was like, the probability is irrelevant, Shrek. If people are getting hit, they're getting hit.
Right.
Also, they're fucking walnuts falling from like 30, 40 feet in the air. It's going to fucking hurt if it hits you. I don't care what the math is.
Yeah, he started talking about like terminal velocity and shit, and then one smacked me in the forearm, and I'm like, "Fuck your math, dude.
Yeah,
this is gonna hurt if you take one on the noggin."
Right. But other than that, no, I'm good. I'll be starting a new job this weekend, so that's good. But otherwise, not much else going on for me.
Oh, nice. Is it a good job? Is it one worth talking about, or is it a pay the bills kind of job?
It is a pay the bills kind of job, Darby.
I hate those. I like the ones that are awesome and they just throw money at you for no reason. Those are my favorite kind of jobs.
That would be fantastic. Yeah. No, it's I'm going to be barbacking at the new Saucy Brewery that's opening here in Columbus. So doing some orientation and training and stuff over the next 5 to 6 days, and then they have their grand opening next Friday. So.
Cool. Remind me what part of town that's in. I remember hearing about it, but I don't know any details.
So it's on the corner of 3rd and Michigan, so I don't know if that qualifies as, like, I don't know what area technically that is. You know, it's kind of like South Campus, also North Victorian Village. I don't know, whatever you call it. It technically is, but yeah. Right around there. I think it's like, a block or two up or down from, what's it called? Catalina's.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because, like, there was like a coffee shop on that corner that went out. Is it that same spot, do you know?
It might be. I actually haven't even been there yet. Like, the interview and onboarding process that I participated in wasn't on site because they're still working on it. So I think they've just kind of been in a bit of a hectic time, because they were supposed to open, from what I understand, like back in the middle of the summer, and then obviously COVID shit's been happening and they decided to delay, and I think now they're trying to get open in conjunction kind of with the OSU football season. So hopefully that helps them to survive this time where lots of local businesses have been closing. But yeah, it is right on the corner of the street, so that may be that coffee shop that you were talking.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad that they're opening up just in time for Ohio to be just shattering their daily COVID records. That's really great.
Yeah. Thankfully, they're pretty good about COVID policies, and so masks and all that jazz. So should be relatively safe environment, but we'll see. I have some concerns about the amount of business they'll do, given that it's still virus. The virus is stronger than ever, and it's also about to become winter, and people aren't going to be going out anymore. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. I hope certainly hope they do well. Whether despite the fact I'm working there, I would want them to do well regardless. But it's going to be interesting.
Absolutely. I'm appreciating that we're seeing sort of a second wave of brewery things going on. I know, like, Jackie O's is opening in the old elevator spot, kind of in the downtown area.
Really?
Yeah, the tap room specifically, the one near Wolf Ridge.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that had closed as elevator.
Yeah, elevator, like, the owner is really old, and I think he just didn't want to do it anymore. So, yeah, he sold out the space to Jackie O's, so all the OU Bobcats can go get their fresh, authentic Athens beer here in Columbus soon.
Oh, interesting. It's even still must have just happened because it's still listed as elevator on maps.
Yeah, they may not even be. I know it's at least in the works. They may not have done the conversion yet, but it doesn't matter because none of them obviously are Endeavor Brewing, which I got a 6-pack from on the way over to Mark and Sarah's house on Monday. Shout out to them. They had a Save the Crew event. I am still a giant coward who doesn't believe in spending any more time than I have to in restaurants and bars. So I ran in and grabbed a 6-pack and said hi to Scott, and I got the fuck out. But yeah, it was Kristen's birthday this weekend, incidentally, lads. So I did all...
Nice. Happy birthday to her.
Yeah. Did all sorts of, that quarantine stay-at-home birthday thing. Like, it's kind of a bummer because we always like to take trips. She's not really a stuff person. She's more about experiences. So normally, we take like a little road trip or something. And so we did a backyard party and made some beer cheese soup for her birthday. And yeah, otherwise
nice.
it's just life around here. My air conditioning might almost be fixed tonight. So that's exciting. Just in time for October.
Darby, you haven't needed air conditioning in like almost a month at this point.
Yeah, I know. There's a
Also,
whole
it's
thing.
already October. Not sure
Yeah.
if you're aware, but
Yeah.
It's frankly halfway over already.
Yeah.
That's how October it is.
Yeah, it's basically it's Christmas decorations in the stores time of year.
that's right.
So-
There's only like 16 more days until those bad boys go up.
My God. How do you know that?
How do I know when I'm putting my Christmas decorations up?
Oh, you meant yours specifically. I thought you meant until stores start selling them, and I was going to say,
Oh, no,
Yeah,
I think
pretty sure
stores
they're
have already
selling
started.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
we were at Kohl's the other day, and there was something singing Christmas carols at me in the store. That was terrible, and I hated it, and I wanted to burn the store down.
You know what,
You could have
Drabs? I
there.
saw something at Kroger the other day that I think I'm going to get for you, and I'll just leave it on your porch. It was a toilet paper roll thingy that plays Christmas carols like every time it moves a little bit.
oh my God.
Brent, I'm so excited to murder you someday.
Make sure you get that on film.
Are you talking about the toilet paper roll thingy or the murder?
Both. They're
Yeah.
going to happen like so close together, back to back, that you may as well. It could be one short film.
I mean, it's not like we're recording this right now as evidence or anything like that. It'll all be fine. Anyway,
Only one of those activities is illegal, so.
yes, having a Christmas carol singing toilet paper dispenser is absolutely illegal, Brent, and you should not do it. Should we talk about ostensibly soccer, maybe relating to Columbus now and not murder?
Must be.
Or,
If you
Because
insist, I
That
guess.
topic of conversation is going to make me want to murder.
Yeah,
that's
same
fair.
here.
yeah. So the good news is there's only one game to talk about because the crew decided to go ahead and test positive for some COVID for the game against Orlando, bought themselves a couple extra days of rest and relaxation and training to prepare to play Cincinnati. The bad news is they went down to Cincinnati and they shit the bed for 90 minutes.
So, do we think that those two tests were real? Or was that just like something that they said to get that extra couple days off?
I mean, I'd like to think they were galaxy brain enough to fake some bad tests, but if they did, it wasn't the outcome they were looking for anyway. So,
Not sure that even really helps because the schedule is so congested that packing in a difficult game later is not making it any easier on yourself. Like we can talk about Cincy a bit more, but like that I don't know where they're gonna put. They have like one other option of where they can put that game. Basically, it's either this coming Wednesday, like as in less than a week from now, which I don't suspect they'll do because it's so short notice, or the 4th. That's the only other time. That's the only other date that's not a Wednesday or a weekend where there isn't already a crew game before this year's decision day, which is November 8th. So
yeah. Although I don't know if they've announced the dates for the start of the playoffs. Maybe they built in an extra week after that final game of the season. I have no idea. But
I
yeah,
don't see how they could with the amount of extra teams that are playing in the playoffs this year, and the fact that they need to kind of hurry up and get them done at the latest so that MLS Cup can be that like first, second week of December, so it isn't too insane weather-wise. I can't imagine there's going to be much of a buffer between the end of the season and playoffs.
yeah. I mean, there may not be. The playoffs should be single elimination this year, which will help. And they'll probably do the same ridiculous condensed schedule in the playoffs, which will be interesting to watch. But yeah, I don't know. They certainly haven't made any announcements thus far about when they're going to redo that game. I haven't looked at Orlando's schedule to see how their free spots look moving forward. So who fucking knows? We're making this season up as we go, even though we're almost done with the season. Because that's how life works these days. Yeah. So there was a game in Cincinnati. I told you both I didn't do any show notes for this game because if the crew isn't going to prepare for a 90-minute show even in the easiest of circumstances, then I'm not gonna either. So they can suck it, I guess.
Before we get too far away, I did just look up Orlando's schedule, and their only free dates are the same 2 Wednesdays that I listed for the Crew. So
okay, so it's probably going to be one of those then.
I would suspect it'll be the 4th, and rather than the 21st. But that's just my guess.
Yeah, which would actually both of those. Well, let's see. So the second one, the one on the 4th, would be between 2 home games. So that's a lot of travel. But then again, the other option is between a home game here on Sunday and then an away game on Houston. So I don't know that flying to Orlando and then flying to Houston is any better. Basically, it all just sucks.
Yeah, I mean, if it were up to me, I would say that because the Crew were the ones that fucked up and brought COVID into the situation and necessitated the game getting to move, I would let Orlando be the one that picks the date. And if it were up to them, I would guess that they would pick the 4th, simply because it's a home game for them, and that would let them end the season with 2 home games back-to-back, one on the 4th and 8th. And that seems like it would be a lot easier than trying to cram it in next week, because they play away on the 18th and away again on the 24th. So that would be away, home, away, and that's a lot of travel.
Yeah,
that's just what
I will tell you, though, that actually Orlando had a player on their first team roster have a confirmed test. So it wasn't just the Crew on that.
Oh, I hadn't heard that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really confused about that because the official Major League Soccer press release said that the delay of the game was a result of the Crew's positive tests.
Mm-hmm.
So why, I mean,
yeah.
why
this is literally the first I'm hearing of Orlando's test. Did it come?
Yeah.
Maybe
I knew they had one.
Maybe it happened later after the announcement had already, or the decision already been made.
Theirs was announced first. They had a positive test.
October 10th, 3:24 in the afternoon. But at that point, they said the game against Columbus will continue as scheduled on Sunday, October 11th. So it must have been like, I guess, like one positive test is okay, but once you start having multiple, it's not allowed. Who knows?
Maybe it depends on who it was that was positive in the different organizations.
I mean, maybe Columbus, maybe they gave the teams the choice, like, you can delay this game or not. And Columbus was like, yeah, these 2 people are important to us, and we're gonna wait on this one. I don't know.
Yeah. Who knows? They don't tell us shit, and they say like, oh, privacy and whatever. And then all of a sudden we just don't have games. Hello, MLS. Thank you for that.
Yeah, speaking of which, how do you make up all those Colorado games?
You don't. They're going to have to forfeit that shit. There's no way they can make up 4 games.
They have 7 games.
I didn't realize they were missing that many games.
Yeah, they have 7 games that they would have to try to make up. And they're currently in a playoff spot.
So wait,
they're
7 games behind.
What?
All the rest of the teams in the league?
No, they played 13 games. So at most they're 5 games behind.
Because they've already canceled 2.
It says they've played 13, yeah.
Ahead of today. They've already delayed more.
Oh, so there are future games that have already been canceled?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, they can't make up what they've missed so far. There's not room for 4 games. They could.
Also, just FYI, Brent, they're not in a playoff spot right now.
They're intense.
I'm literally looking at it right now.
Well, they were the other day when that article was written.
I would say they may just be forced to forfeit those and sit out the playoffs.
So Brent is right in a certain sense. By points per game, Colorado is in the playoff hunt. They would be in 6th place by points per game. But if they have to forfeit those games, that number's going in the tank. Yeah.
That's not how standings are determined. Yeah.
Yeah. Also in other news, Toronto and Philadelphia have clinched playoff spots, and I hate my life.
Yeah. Anyways, now we're all over the COVID thing. I don't know if we want to jump back to the FCC thing or whatever, but
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's anything in particular you guys want to talk about. I mean, the officiating was bullshit going both directions, but I refuse to accept it as an excuse because you played a Cincinnati team that had to call players on loan back just to fill out a game day roster. So the officiating shouldn't even matter in that situation, and that's what I have to say about that.
yeah, under different circumstances, this is the type of game where I would potentially be saying that the coach needs to be they should be considering whether they're going to keep the coach.
Are you hashtag Porter out? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I don't like Caleb Porter. I think I've made that pretty known since we first announced his signing. I don't frankly think he's a very good coach. I've also made that known since we signed him. I don't think he has the pedigree that suggests he's a good coach. His results in Portland are he won an MLS Cup that they stumbled their way into winning. Like, they were the last team into the playoffs that season, seed-wise, and they kind of derp their way into it. But the rest of those seasons that he was there are pretty unremarkable. And I frankly think that it's showing so much now that this team was its success was mostly due to its players, at which some of the most core pieces of which have been missing for some time now. And also, I think we were all, not we all, because I didn't believe it, but I think people were deluded into believing that they were a better team than they were because they played so many bad teams early on. And I think that's finally kind of coming to bear. There's no situation where I would find a loss to Cincinnati acceptable.
And this is a bad Cincinnati team by Cincinnati standards. Like, the team that they fielded in the game, oh my God, was that last night? I feel like it's been a million years. I've gone through 17 emotional stages since that game happened. It was bad. It was beat up. It was like a team that had scored 8 goals all season, and we let them score 2, even if one is a penalty kick goal. There's no way that should have been that result.
This is here's a breakdown of the stats, or this is what Cincy's night amounted to last night, which I tweeted last night. They were, and still are even after the win, a bottom 3 team with the worst goal differential in the league. But last night was their first goal in over a month, in about exactly a month. It was their first multi-goal game in 3 months. It was their third multi-goal game all season, and only their first win at home all season. So, a real banner night for them, and a real, go home and contemplate your life's decisions night for the crew. Sorry,
yeah.
I kind of cut you off. Go ahead and say what you're about to say.
No, you're good. I just, Darby was talking about, how bad Cincinnati has been all season, and think of how shitty they have been, and then realize that even 4 of their best players who were that shitty were out and had to be replaced.
Right.
Yeah. Third string goalkeeper.
Their
That's
hottest
almost a third of their starting lineup.
Weren't even in the game. Yeah, their hottest babies weren't even there.
So when a coach in the post game makes a comment about, how important Darlington Nagbe and Lucas Celeryon are to the team, I know he said that that's not an excuse because they still should have been able to win. Well, then don't frickin' bring it up, because you're using it as an excuse. Even if you say it's not an excuse, that was your intent. And I don't want to hear about those two. You should have been able to roll a third-string lineup out there to beat that Cincinnati team. Last night was pathetic.
I mean, what we basically saw take the field last night was the crew roster from last year. And we've been beating up on Cincinnati for years now, 2 years. This is the second year in a row. And there's no excuse for that roster that we fielded to not beat the snot out of this team.
Yeah, the team looked utterly unprepared for this game. Cincinnati, to their credit, did not come out bunkering like I think a lot of people expected, especially given their very beat up roster. They came out in a 4-3-3 and played it the entire way. They played a pretty solid high press that completely threw Columbus for a loop in the first half. I mean, Cincinnati dominated possession in the first half, and frankly were by a light year the better team. Their passing was better. Columbus's only idea appeared to be boot the ball long and hope that one of the fast guys can get underneath it. The problem was all those long balls were going fucking out of bounds.
Well, Darby, they said that was their game plan going into the game.
To boot the ball upfield?
To boot the ball out of bounds?
That's why they put their two speed guys on the outside instead of the creative player, was so that they could play that long ball.
Right. Well, why do you need to play desperation long ball against what should be a really inferior team? Why are you so fucking afraid of the middle of the field?
Yeah, especially if this team is as good as, like I said, we've been led to believe. That's not how good teams play. Good teams don't sit back and boot the ball up and hope that their fast guys catch it.
Yeah. Apparently, Alashe is healthy enough to start, and for some reason that was a thing, despite what Aiden Morris has managed to accomplish. As we thought might be the case, as soon as Alashe got healthy, he was instantly back in there. Although it didn't seem like he was doing much of anything, but you could say that about just about every player on the roster. It was brutal. I feel like Awful had another terrible game. Pat Murphy wants to tell you that his box score was amazing, but if you actually watched that game, you saw Harry just getting owned on defense over and over again, misplaying balls, missing balls altogether. It looks like he's afraid anytime a ball comes at him.
I'm so over and sick of coaching staff and journalists on their high horses trying to claim that because the statistics show one thing that's the case. Like the statistics for the Crew have been good the last few games, but they're still fucking losing. So you know what the statistics amount to? Fucking nothing. Like
right.
That's the breadth of your analytical capacity is to just look at the box score and the stats and make a determination from there. Then you probably shouldn't be a sports journalist.
Yeah. I mean, this is a game. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brett.
No, I'm just what you brought up, some of the things that Pat Murphy was saying on Twitter. So I'll ask you guys, at what point does Cadden need to be brought into a game? Is he that bad that he can't be brought in right now?
I don't know. I tweeted that last night. I said, how awful must he look in practices to not have already won this starting spot from Harrison Awful? I don't understand it.
Yeah, I would say the same thing about Jordan Hamilton and the backup striker spot. We've seen so much of Fernando Adi doing just fuck all, walking around the field. Why can Jordan Hamilton not even get in the damn 18? Why can't he see the field? These are both guys that, like, we haven't basically seen at all, and the people who are ahead of them in the starting lineup don't look good. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe this is Porter just trying to cling desperately to a playoff spot rather than, shake things up. But the Crew now have 1 point in the last 4 games. They went from being head and shoulders above the rest of the league in the Supporter Shield to now basically being out of it. I assume Nate Beckman has updated his forecaster, but in my eyes,
I just went to look and I don't see anything.
Okay. I mean, honestly, in my eyes, there's no way that the Crew make up a 7-point deficit in the remaining 5 games now?
Well, that's
6 games with Orlando.
6 games with the Orlando replay, yeah. That's what's most frustrating is that Toronto and Philly both dropped points last night. They both tied. So if we'd won this game, we'd have only been 1 point behind Philly and only 4 points behind Toronto. But instead, we're 4 points behind Philly and 7 behind Toronto. And I think Toronto is certainly uncatchable at this point. Philly most likely so, just simply because they're playing so much better than us.
Yeah, Toronto currently scores. They get 2 points per game at home and 2.2 points per game away. You're not fucking catching that.
Yeah, no way. And we get, if we want to not just make the playoffs but be guaranteed to host a game, we need to stay in that top 4. And right now I don't see that happening. Orlando drew last night too. Literally, like every result that we could possibly have wanted to go our way basically went our way. Outside of those teams losing, which was unlikely because of how good they are, and we couldn't fucking make up any ground on it.
It's bad. This was, it's funny because I think we all said, oh, the Montreal game was the worst game the Crew played all season. And then we come back this week and it's like, oh, the Cincinnati game is the worst game the Crew's played all season. This is a hell of a time in the season to be able to say that twice in a row.
Yeah.
I guess we're not telling anybody anything they don't already know. This was a bad game.
I mean, I don't know, because I've gotten some responses on Twitter to the things I'm saying where people are like, well, blah, 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 blah. There's like some fucking apologists and shit out there, and I think some people who are still like, I don't know, blind to what's going on. I'm getting people responding saying, no, the Crew aren't bad. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I don't know what you've been watching to makes you think that the Crew aren't bad. The Crew may not be bad with Lucas and Room and Nagby in, but guess what? Lucas and Room and Nagby aren't in, and so the Crew are bad.
Right. I mean, a team is who they are at that moment. And over the past 4 games, the Crew are a bad team. They have, like I said, 1 point in the last 4 games. Guess what? Cincinnati has more points than that now in the last 4 games.
Yeah, and frankly, I'm not interested in people who want to make the argument that, well, it's without Nagby and Lucas and even Room, it's just not fair to criticize or compare or whatever. But like everyone in the league is having injury woes. Everyone in the league is playing the same type of congested, hectic, stressful, exhausting schedule. There are no excuses. We're not alone in these situations.
Right. Yeah, again, Cincinnati had more injuries than we did to just as critical players. And it's not, I'm not saying this. I hate this team and it's the worst thing ever. I hate the way I feel when I watch them play right now. I'm still a fan, but I think it's okay to say this is a terrible run of form and something structurally needs to happen to turn this team around and have them have any shot in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not ever going to not be a fan, but we are quickly approaching the point where I have been in the past where I say this team isn't good enough to deserve my time. And I mean, if they play like this another game or two, I will stop watching in favor of doing other things that are more fun and don't make me feel like shit.
Yeah, I realize when we have outdoor watch parties, this is my one social outlet in this shitty, shitty world, right? Like, I'm not going to bars. I'm not hanging out with people. Basically, these watch parties are what I get to do for fun with people I like. And I realized last night, I'm like, I've just been yelling at the side of my garage for the last 20 minutes. Like, this isn't how I want to spend my time with people I like. I don't like feeling like this. And as Keith Noss actually said it pretty well on Twitter, I think it was last night, and I'm going to kind of paraphrase it. He was like, well, I guess in 2020, it's a bad idea to stake so much of your, the way you feel on a team that you support. And I mean, I think I'm probably guilty of that. How I feel in the time that I'm watching these games is not good. And I don't want to feel that. Oh, here. Okay. So Here it is. He says, perhaps it is not healthy to depend so much on the fight from your soccer team during a crazy 2020, which is actually different than what I said, because he is pointing out like it's not good to depend on the team fighting, and that's a little more pointed, and I still agree with it. This team is not showing a lot of fight, and if our emotional well-being is tied into that, we're going to be in a bad place. Brent, are you ready to throw yourself into traffic yet?
I was ready last night. Caleb Porter made the comment in his post-game interview that, a lot of the guys would have trouble getting to sleep last night. Well, good for you, because I did too. Like, that game pissed me the fuck off. It was unacceptable, and something needs to change, like, this weekend.
One thing, I don't know if you want to talk any more about the game itself, but Jaap Stam actually had a response for you, Brent, as it turns out. I don't know if you guys saw this.
No,
I did, and I'm going to preemptively say that Jaap Stam, or Bald Mr. Clean, whatever the fuck his name is, can... never mind. Read your quote, Darby.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm excited for you, because I think I know where you're going to go, and I'm with you. So Jaap Stam after the game, and so for anybody who didn't know, the Cincinnati supporters did not put up any banners in the Bailey for that game, and that was a deliberate choice on the part of the supporter groups, who basically said, if the team isn't going to put forth an effort, we're not going to put up banners as a way of indicating our dissatisfaction with the lack of effort from the front office and the team. That's basically their option available to them vocalizing. So apparently after the game, the Cincinnati coach was asked about all of what went on, and he said, quote, "I think the real supporters are not the ones who are always criticizing the club. I think if you do that, and it's an easy one, then you need to ask the question yourself if you are a real fan of Cincinnati." And I think he actually had another thing another part of the quote is, "In every sport, there are people who haven't seen the game that don't know a lot about soccer, criticize players or staff or a team or a club very easily." So it sounds like Jaap Stam is saying, if you criticize us, one, you're not a fan, and two, you don't know anything about soccer. To which I say, not even as a Cincinnati fan, Jaap Stam, get fucked. But Brent, your thoughts?
Yeah, this is a stupid thing for any coach to say. Like, where you are in the table. But his from the bottom in the East, and as John pointed out a few minutes ago, like, you've won 2 games all season. It's not difficult to recognize that your team is bad and worthy of criticism. You can shut the hell up.
Yeah, John, what did you think about all that? I mean, does he have any point at all?
To be quite honest, I thought that they had fired him already earlier this year. And so when I got to the watch party at Shrek's last night, and I set up next to Keith Nass, and I said, they did a cut at the sideline at one point, and there he was standing. And I said, "Oh, I thought they'd fired that guy." So the fact that he's making comments like that is just like the epitome of tone deaf idiocy. Like, read the room, maybe read the standings, and keep your fucking mouth shut.
Yeah, at least Caleb Porter had the decency to apologize to supporters for what's going on. He's still an ass bag in quite a few ways, but at least he's not telling the fans they're dumb and not real fans.
That's the kind of shit that I don't care what the form of the team would be. I would be saying, this guy's a piece of crap and he needs to go. I don't want him to be part of my team.
Yeah.
As fans, we pay hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a year to attend games and buy merch and buy food and go to, non-game activities and events. And, I'm not going to let somebody fucking talk to me like that.
Yeah, I mean, the position is just as much you're a face of the team, you're a mouth of the team, you represent the team when you're speaking. So you say stuff like that. That's not great. And I hope whoever their Tim Miller was having a fucking stroke as they were listening to that. But yeah, that I give credit to Cincinnati fans for voicing their displeasure in a way that was available to them. They are fans; they're allowed to do that kind of thing. And as a coach, you need to fucking listen, like you said, read the room. All right. Well, shit. We just sort of bounced all over the place. Do you guys have anything else about the game or anything else that happened in the?
Yeah, I want to go through a couple of the substitutions. Hear you guys' thoughts.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So last night, Bouba Keita was about. It didn't be an injury.
Brent
do you
sound
guys
like
think
shit
that was?
to you too, Drabby, or is it just me?
Yeah. Hey, Brent, why don't you maybe take a second, log out and come back because you're getting real broken up for us. We'll just bullshit time waste here for a little bit. Just because I definitely want to hear what you. I think you're going to touch on something that probably a lot of people want to talk about. So.
Oh goodness. The stats from last night are not great while we're waiting for Brent to do that. I mean, we were outshot. We outpossessed them, of course, and outpassed, but that was largely pointless possession. No, real intent or forward progress being made during most of that, I feel like.
Yeah, most of the 5-minute intervals in the first half, the possession was all Cincinnati. If you just look at a box score, this does look like a better game for the Crew than it actually was. Cincinnati had a shit ton of clearances, and that's normally a sign of some desperation defending. And the Crew having 61% of possession and 80% passing, those things tend to look good, but it's very much like some of those old Berhalter games where you won the battle on paper and didn't actually win the game at all.
Yeah. There was some comments made along those same lines last night with the people I was with, saying this game looks and feels very Berhaltery, where there's a lot of nothing happening.
Yeah, slow, methodical passing around the perimeter, no attempt to attack the middle.
We made 29 crosses last night. That's insane.
Yeah. Are you back, Brent?
Yeah, I think so. Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Okay.
So what I was saying, last night, Bouba Keita was subbed out in what did not appear to be an injury sub. So was that a worthwhile move in your eyes?
Yeah, so this was in the 59th minute. We actually had a 3-person sub. There was a Bouba Keita came out in favor of Josh Williams. Aiden Morris came on for Alashe, and then Etienne came on for Diaz. So 3-man sub. 2 of those are technically defensive, and yes, one is a sub of a center back in a time that there was no clear indication of any kind of injury. It was also about 10 minutes after Nick Hagelin scored for Cincinnati on a set piece in which he basically dunked on Bouba. What do you think, John? Was that a statement substitution? Because this is not a game where you bring on a defender for a defender if they're not injured.
I would suspect that it is. I would be curious, and I would urge everyone to keep an eye out for Bouba Keita and see if we ever see him again, or if he goes the way of Alex Crognale. I mean, we've seen that Caleb Porter has a bit of a immature temper and tends to throw a tantrum if someone does something that results in what he believes to be the deciding play of a game. So, this is another young kid who's of course, going to make some errors. Everyone makes some errors, but especially young kids who are still getting up to speed. I mean, he's not even seeing regular, consistent play, let alone starting. So, of course, he's going to still be a little rusty, making some mistakes. He's still learning. I mean, what is Keita? Is he even 20 right yet? I don't remember how old he is exactly, but
I can look. I think he is. He might be 20 exactly. But keep going.
Well, even still, that's still very young, still very fresh, still getting his feet under him. And quite frankly, I can understand, you're being upset. The situation is not ideal. Things aren't going the way you want. A center back does need to do better in that situation on that second goal than what he did. But you're now losing 2-1 on the road with, only 40 minutes left to play. You're less than half the game remaining. These subs came in the 60th basically, so you've only got half an hour left to go. I'm not sure what the thinking is there. Even if you are a little frustrated with that one play, I don't know why you blow a sub on that when you obviously need to come back. I don't know why you make a majority of the subs. I think that Morris was very clearly an improvement over what we had seen from Alache, so that I'm fine with. I didn't really feel like we got anything new from Etienne over what Diaz had been providing during the game. And I don't understand why you're not making more offensively minded substitutions in those instances. Why are we waiting until the 86th minute to bring on potentially the least effective striker in team history, Fernando Adi, who's going to lope around for another fucking 7 minutes or whatever the extra time amounted to, and basically contribute nothing? How is he still the go-to sub? We have another striker on the bench, and we know another one's coming. I would love it to never see him ever again. And I'm somebody who was excited that we had added him to the roster despite all of the other baggage that potentially came along with him, because I did think that he was a talented guy based on, what I had seen of him when he played in Portland. But I'm, obviously I was wrong. That's fine. I'm okay admitting that. And I don't want to ever see him on the field ever again. I don't think he's put in a single substitution appearance. Has he started any games? I don't think he's started any games. So they've all been substitutions. And I don't think he's put in a single minute that I've been impressed by.
Yeah, he has started one game according to his stats. Let's see, that would be he started in the 3-0 win against Cincinnati, in which he had 0 goals and 0 assists. Was that a bubble?
Was that the bubble game? One of the bubble games?
No, that was September 6th.
No. I don't even remember that. Anyways,
it was forgettable because he didn't fucking do anything.
So we won 3-0, and the starting striker didn't contribute anything.
Right. That was the game that Jossie came in off the bench and had a brace.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So that tells you everything you need to know about the guy. Anyways, not to dwell too much on him. I know we're mainly talking about Keita. I would very strongly urge Screw fans to keep an eye out for him and see how things are handled with him. And if things even go remotely the way that they did with Crognale, then that is a serious issue, and it needs to be addressed, because we cannot have some petulant coach driving away all of our talented young homegrown players because they make one mistake here or there.
Yeah,
See,
go ahead, Brent.
I think it was one mistake. Obviously there was the one that directly led to a goal, but if you go back and watch, I think you see that he mistakes all night. Passes behind him as he was leaving for his own teammate that went directly to Cincinnati. They didn't go to anything because Cincinnati is terrible. But, he was out of position. He was making weird crosses to the other side of the field. I'm not sure he was last night, but I was honestly surprised he didn't get pulled sooner than he did. Now, I'm not saying
That's
that
fair.
was...
I will say I missed a majority of the first half. I was only listening on the radio, so I didn't see a lot of his time on the field. But so I was basing a lot of that off of assuming that you were thinking the goal was the issue.
Yeah, like, I'm not saying that a center back sub was worth it or that he should have done it sooner. I'm surprised that he didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. So, incidentally, Brent, you still sound like crap. Maybe like log out and come back. I definitely hear what you're saying.
I can't hear
Keita did not have a great game, but in that first half, nobody in the first half had a great game. Everybody was kicking balls out of bounds. Everybody was having unsuccessful passes all over the damn place. I mean, you can point fingers and like, okay, so I'm pulling up. Currently,
so Keita was 5 for 9 on passing. All of his failed passes were forward passes, so it wasn't like he was giving anything super dangerous away.
Is that in the first half specifically?
Oh, I'm looking at the second half on accident.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not great. Like there's his successful passing was. I mean, it's not like he had a great percentage, but I mean, you can pull up anybody's passing map in that game. They were clearly trying to go long, but every fucking long pass was. I mean, you look at Harrison Awful's passing map. All his long passes are red arrows. If you pull up Mensah, all of his long passes are red arrows. Like I would say this was a bad game plan. I don't want to throw Keita under the bus for having a bad game when I think the entire fucking team was set up to fail. I mean, they were not ready for what Cincinnati was doing, and their first half game plan made that gloriously apparent. I mean, the entire team was ineffective. They couldn't string together anything. That's not any one defender. Certainly, Keita didn't do so badly to warrant getting yanked. I mean, you give up, like, if you're directly responsible for 3 goals, fine. But, you know, you get beat on a header, which, by the way, the Crew were getting beat on set pieces all fucking night, no matter who was on the field. I mean, Cincinnati got all the throw-ins. It was just, they just wanted it more. They tried to get open.
I think I'm probably going to be in the minority again here, but you know, if you want to be mad at somebody, you should probably be mad at Andrew Tarbell for coming out like a moron and plowing his way through a defender and giving up a stupid penalty kick.
Yeah, that was a bad idea. There were 2 defenders on that ball.
He came off the line so. I mean, I think it was a foul, and it's in the box, so I'm not sure what else it would be. I mean, he came off his line so clumsily,
and he came in very diagonally. Like,
yeah,
I didn't love that it was called. I'm not sure either player made contact with the ball, but you also just can't dive directly at an opposing player and not get the ball.
Yeah, and when you make contact, whether you didn't hit, he didn't. I'm pretty sure Tarbell didn't hit the ball. I don't know if the guy who he fouled hit the ball either. But it doesn't matter because he came in so recklessly and so hard, and he didn't win the ball. And coming in like that affects the way that the other player goes into the air because he knows he's going to get hit. And this, regardless of whether you think the intent, whatever the intent was, the way he made the play affects the player that's trying to play the ball. And I think it was a foul. I don't know whether you call it an indirect or how you handle it, but I had no problem with them making a call.
My problem was that they didn't choose to actually do the full VAR experience. I think with a call like that, I think they needed to review it. I do think it's probably a foul, but I don't think it's just clear and obvious and you don't need a review. Did you not think it was a foul, Brent?
No, I didn't. I thought that was play that I've happened hundreds of times over the years, and I've never seen anything like get called for a penalty. I don't know how that's called with at least checking the monitor, especially when you find out after the game that the ref said he couldn't hear the assist referee in his ear. So he just said, you know what, hear the guy, so we're just going with it. I don't know how that's a thing at all.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there needed to be a review. And the whole, like, he couldn't hear, that was a quote from Mensa, I believe. Mensa was indicating that the ref said he couldn't hear his VAR in his earpiece. Which clearly then there needs to be some sort of better system where they can signal. But this was, I mean, like John said, if you don't make that admittedly bad play, don't force the ref to have to make a call in the box. I mean, I think that's the best approach, frankly, is, you know, if you're Andrew Tarbell, stay on your line. All night long, he was incidentally running out and punching shit away, and every time he wound up on his ass because he was taking these weird angles.
I thought for the most part in his time that we've seen him play, he's played really well, and I think this was far and away his worst game.
Yeah, he seemed rattled. Like he was just jumpy.
Yeah. That ball that he came out for that gave away the penalty was outside of the 6-yard box, and there were 2 Crew defenders there. There was no reason for him to leave the line. No reason.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know, I mean, I will say, like, you know, the Crew got one back, and while Pedro was invisible in the game, he did what he does best. You could absolutely tell when he drew a penalty, he had no intention of doing anything except drawing a penalty. He played the ball away from the goal and towards the end line where there were no Crew defenders, so he was clearly looking to draw contact, but he forced the ref to make a decision when a defender made a bad choice. So if you don't do that, if you're Andrew Tarbell and you don't force the ref to make a bad choice, you're in a lot better shape.
Yeah, it's not the kind of play that I like to see. I'd rather see us score a goal off of some savvy run of play stuff. But it was pretty obvious, like he said. He chipped the ball up and he dragged his feet, intentionally trying to draw the penalty, and he got it. So good for him. It's savvy handling of the situation.
And all for nothing, because it was still a fucking loss.
And also about the only good thing he did all night. So we're back into the swing. We're back on the downturn of the roller coaster that is Pedro Santos, where he goes through times where he's playing great and looking amazing, and now we're back down into the pit where he looks like shit and is largely useless.
Yeah. But yeah, I hated everything about the game, and the subs, yes, are continue to be a head scratcher. We may never see Keita again. We may never see Jordan Hamilton again, and I want to die. So there's that. Anything else about this game, or anything that's happened in the past week? I don't even remember if there was anything noteworthy going on.
I have nothing else, certainly nothing positive else to say about this team.
All right, that's fair. So let's go ahead and move on to our question of the week in happier news. We have a new question for your hot little baby ears this week. This one comes to us from it literally came up, like an hour ago, and I already forget which one of you said. I think it might have been Brent, but we got tied up in what show it was and all that.
It was not.
Wasn't it? Okay. John, since this is your question, why don't you go ahead and ask it?
Yeah, so the question this week is what current Crew player would you partner with for the Amazing Race or an Amazing Race type show or a challenge, and why? And this was built off of the fact that I saw someone talking about how Stephen Lenhart, former Crew striker, is currently on I don't think it's the actual Amazing Race, but it's one of the streaming services like knockoff versions. I don't know if it's Netflix or Hulu or what, but he's apparently on there and doing those things that they do where they gotta go find 12 baguettes in Paris in order to get a free taxi ride to the next city or whatever the fuck. I don't know. Never seen it. Show.
Yeah, no, I like this. I think it might be an Amazon show, but I don't watch any of those, so I don't care. Apparently, it's something where he has like a team of 5, which seems lame and also dumb. But so I think that's part of why you picked The Amazing Race, because this could be a single person that you're partnering with.
Yeah, Brent suggested that The Amazing Race was more appropriate because I think those are duos. So this made more sense. So.
All right. Well, so who do you want to go first then, John? Since you're the number one question boy today.
Well, I'm gonna say that assuming that Brent doesn't still sound like a robot, we'll have Brent go first. This will be a good test.
All right, we'll try this again. I switched over to my phone.
You sound a lot better.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's good.
I mean, you still sound like crap, but you sound more like normal crap as
never going to
opposed
change.
to
So
extra crap. Yeah.
All right. Which player do I want as my Amazing Race teammate? You know what? I'm just going to take Josh Williams, just because then all the attention would be on us for the majority of the show, which would be a lot of fun. Plus, I feel like goofing off with Josh Williams throughout the world would be just a fantastic time.
I feel like every week, Josh Williams is always a viable answer no matter what the question is. Like, it's never really a wrong answer, except which player would you least want to have sex with? Anybody?
Which player would I least like to have sex with, Darby? Is that where we're switching questions?
No. I was saying that Josh Williams is never the answer to that question.
Oh, yeah, no.
But then there was a long, awkward silence after I acknowledged that I want to have sex with Josh Williams. So.
Well, you had just said that you wanted to have sex with Josh Williams, so I don't want to speak for Brent, but I was sitting here in silence thinking about how I also would like to have sex with Josh Williams and what we might be doing and how that might look and smell and taste.
Brent Miller, your thoughts?
Are you going to elaborate on that, John?
Well, I don't. I want to let you guys' imaginations do a little bit of the work here. I've given you a lot of senses to check in with. See how your body feels. Let me know. Get back to me. Send me some tweets or emails, and just I'm just saying, Josh, you've got my number. All right. Well, Darby, you're up then. Brent saying Josh. You're not allowed to repeat, obviously.
Not allowed to. Yeah. No, that's fair. I'm gonna go with the team utility player Hector Jimenez. I feel like just from that flexibility, that being the team player kind of thing, that he'd probably be good or at least adequate at all kinds of random shit that you just never know you're gonna have to deal with. Like he would know how to hail a cab in Russian somehow. He could probably build a fire with some twigs and a piece of flint. Like he's probably just got all kinds of skills he's sitting on that nobody even knows about. So Hector's going to be my guy.
Wait, are you not capable of building a fire with wood and flint?
No, because lighters are a thing that exist. Therefore, flint is fucking stupid for anything except reality game shows.
I mean, it's a pretty basic process, Drabs.
You're basically just hitting two rocks together, Darby. Surely you've done that at some point in your 1,000-year history.
Well, yeah, that was how I created hammers. But, I mean, seriously, lighters exist. Why would you play with flint when there are so many other things that just automatically make fire for you?
That's fair.
Like, I don't think anybody's suggesting that you use it regularly, but to say that you need somebody else because you're not capable of doing that, it's a weird thing to say.
Well, again, this is going to be a stupid fucking reality show where they throw you really obscure tasks to do that nobody's actually well suited for.
Again, though, the task that you're talking about is smacking a couple of rocks together to create a spark.
You know, I'm going to smack a couple of fucking rocks against your head here soon.
I knew it was coming. Oh my god!
All right, John. Who's your player boy for the amazing race?
Well, my player boy, obviously, here is Mr. Vito Wormgore. Not only does he have the time to go on a worldwide adventure with me because he's not fucking playing, but I think it'd be good opportunity to rehab, get him used to walking and jogging and doing activities for sustained amounts of time. And should he be healed enough, he could also do such things like carry me up the mountain and scare people into giving us rides places and things like that. So I think he'd be very useful. Plus, he's from the Netherlands, so he's already like world traveled. I'm sure he speaks at least 2, 4, 5, 7 languages. Very helpful.
Yeah, that was one thing I'm wondering. Like, who do you think on the team speaks the most languages? Not as like a question of the week, but out of legitimate curiosity. I mean, obviously not an American player because we don't believe in speaking languages.
If I were to guess, I would say it's probably one of the African guys, simply because there's so many languages over there. I don't know if we're counting like different dialects, but
See, I would guess Room.
Yeah, I could see Room. I could see Mokhtar if they're like because they're of they're from the Netherlands, but also like of other descents, because I know Mokhtar has Moroccan heritage. So yeah, some of the more like
Artur is from Brazil. I bet he knows Spanish and Portuguese and English now at this point, at least.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm sure we got quite a few guys who speak it, 2 or 3, I would bet.
Yeah. And then we have John Kempen, who speaks 0 languages.
John Kempen. The mouth. Doesn't speak any fucking languages. Doesn't even know English. He just makes weird mouth noises.
Right. Exactly. All right. Oh boy, here's the part where we give out man balls. I bet these are all definitely going to crew players this week. Brent, you go first. Who are you giving your man balls to this week?
For starters, I'll give one to I'm actually going to give one to a crew player. I'll give one to Aiden Morris. He came into the game and there was an obvious spark afterward, and the team played a little bit better. Obviously not well enough to, win or get a point, but whatever. Thanks for actually, giving some amount of effort on the field. And then the second man ball is going to go out to me and every other crew fan who endured that crap last night.
That's a well sliced up man ball that you're distributing there, buddy. What about you, John? Who are your man balls going to this week?
I'm going to give one to Aiden Morris as well. I thought he seemed like one of the few players on the field last night who actually wanted to be out there and was energetic and hustling. I thought he was I think it's been impressive to see him come in and obviously, I don't know, kind of become the number 3 favorite at that position, it seems, now that he's getting chosen over Berhalter, and obviously he got subbed in for Alashe, who obviously was deemed not worthy of continuing through the rest of the match. So props to him. Glad to see that. And then my other man ball is actually going to go to Nick Hagland of Cincinnati. He's a Cincinnati boy. I'm sure it had to have been super fun and exciting for him to score the winning goal against Columbus in the Ohio Derby. And it's a shame. I feel bad for him that there wasn't a full crowd there to cheer for that. But props. I'm sure that was a really cool moment.
Oh, gross, and nobody's going to allow that. We're going to strike that one from the record.
I was actually nearly going to give him a man ball. I'm not going to, but I was seriously considering it. Also, I'm pretty sure Nick Hagland did the icky shuffle after he scored. Yep. I don't know if anybody watched that. That's a real throwback. The icky shuffle, I believe, was invented before Nick Hagland was even born. So that's some real old school shit right there, buddy. All right. Yeah, I'm not giving my man balls to any soccer players. I nearly gave one to Hagelin, but that just seems wrong. Nobody on the crew particularly deserved it. I'm going to split my first man ball between Mark and Sarah for hosting a Save the Crew leadership event on Monday. Thank you for opening up your spacious backyard so that we could all be in the same place and have a little celebration. My second man ball, John, goes to Donnie Murray for biffing it super fucking hard on his bike in the same exact spot that I biffed on the scooter on the way to ACES Radio that one episode. The railroad tracks over by the Giant Eagle in Grandview Yard, still the continuing champion of taking down members of Save the Crew. So Donnie sprained his wrist, apparently, got himself a little banged up, but he's all right. He's a murderer's row lad. He's tough. So good job there, buddy. Hope you feel better soon. Okay, moving the fuck on.
The irony there is that while Ben did not crash thanks to the railroad tracks, I'm pretty sure that's the exact same line that he would have driven his scooter under literally seconds before crashing.
Yeah, I mean, basically, the larger lesson is Save the Crew people should never ride bikes or scooters or walk. Basically, they should just wrap themselves in bubble wrap and be driven everywhere. So
I'm pretty sure the average age of people in that group is like 60, right? I mean, John is by far the youngest person.
I'm bringing it down by quite a bit.
Lawyer Andrew is a young baby boy also.
Andrew, David Miller, and me are the young lads, the youth.
Yeah. So, and none of you yet have seriously injured yourselves on transportation that we know of.
Our bones haven't hollowed out with age like birds.
All right. I mean, you do get brittle as you get older, John. I don't know if you know this. I love that when Donnie was talking, he's like, oh, my first thought was, that when I went down, oh, it's on the same knee that I had my ACL surgery on and the same shoulder that I separated, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, shit. Yeah, we are old. Fuck. Okay, shall we preview the upcoming game? We've only got one on the radar for this week, thankfully. And
sure.
That is a game coming up here on Sunday against NYCFC. They are currently 6th in the East with a record of 8-7-3. This would be a home game in the largely empty confines of Mafre Stadium. Brent Miller, as the resident expert on all things related to Yankee Stadium, what are your thoughts about this game? Brent. John, would you like to talk about the game?
Sure.
Jesus Christ. Fucking Brent.
I think he's having an issue. He just messaged me. He says he can't hear anything. Yeah. We've been having some real tech troubles tonight. So the New York game. This is a chance to potentially maybe get a rebound. They are not on the greatest run of form either. They tied, which wasn't the worst result yesterday, and then their previous game to that was a 2-1 loss to New England. So not as bad of a record as us recently, but not great either. So maybe we can take some advantage of that and turn things around. I don't know a whole lot about them outside of that. I did know that they were on a winning streak for a while there, and they were winning and scoring quite a bit. So they're definitely threatening. They're only, a spot or two below us in the standings. I think they're only back. Yeah, it looks like they're back 4 points on us right now, so they're in 6th. So this is a pretty big game as far as maintaining our position in the standings. It's another one of those big 6-point swing games potentially, because if they win, then they'll only be one back from us. So starting to get dangerous. all the games have been kind of must wins as far as the Shield is concerned. I think that's kind of out of the question at this point. So now it's must wins as far as holding on to home field advantage during the playoffs is concerned.
All right. Brent, are you back with us now? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you again.
Okay. So give us the Yankee Stadium insight here.
The Yankee Stadium insight? Well, it's not being used for baseball purposes because all sports are garbage except for basketball. Congrats to King James. No, I don't know much about City this year. I haven't watched many of their games, but I know that we are a hot garbage, and I'm not expecting this to be a fun trip.
Well, I mean, I guess I led you astray because it's not actually Yankee Stadium related, other than except for the team. It's a
I know they're playing at Red Bull, but still.
Yeah. Well, no, I think they're allowed to play at Yankee Stadium now, but it's at Mafre, so that doesn't matter.
I thought we were away this weekend.
Nope.
No. It's a home game.
Well,
for whatever.
Either way, I mean, so maybe it'll be a little bit better because we're home, but I don't know. I'm just super down on this team right now, and I'm not expecting much.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair. Like John said, they had been on a bit of a tear prior to the last two games. They scored they were scoring like 3 and 4 goals a game, including beating Cincinnati 4-0, which all good teams do. But recently they've, like you said, a 1-1 tie at Orlando at this point is not a terrible result. So basically a home loss to New England is sort of the biggest blip on their radar recently. Because it's this season, it's they're dealing with the injury bug as well. They've got Gideon Zalazem is out for the season. James Sands is out for the season. He got injured right before the Orlando game. Hebert tore his ACL and is out for the season. Unfortunately for us, Maxi Morales has been listed as out, but there have been some tweets recently indicating he may be able to return against Columbus. One would assume that certainly he wouldn't be able to get a full run. But that little fucker is always a pain in the ass, so that's not ideal news. Yeah, this is not a great game to be in a must-win situation. But, I mean, do you guys think this is a must-win game? Because I'm kind of leaning towards yes here. I mean, obviously you can lose and still be in the playoff hunt, but in terms of momentum, in terms of making a statement, is this a must-win at home?
I mean, it depends on how you're quantifying it, I guess. Like I said earlier, I think we'd have to basically lose every single game from this point on to not make the playoffs. But if we're going to show that we are, a contender, or I don't even know if the contender is the right word, because I don't know if I believe we're a contender for the cup, but going to put up a fight in the postseason, then we need to turn it around. And so, yeah, I'd say that this is must win. I think that if we're going to have a chance in the playoffs, as it's been proven, the advantage of hosting and not having to travel and stuff is going to be critical. And so we really need to stay above that line of between 4th and 5th and stay in the contention for hosting. So, yeah, I would say this is must win, but I'm terrified of this New York team. Even though the recent results aren't super great, they've scored 13 goals in their last 5 games.
Yikes. Is it a must win for you, Brent?
I don't know. Again, like John said, that depends on what you're talking about. I agree with both of you guys that the supporter shield is basically gone. You can forget about that. To secure at least one home playoff game, you have to be, 4th in the conference? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that 5th and 6th would host knockout round games, like the very first round. It looks like
so
first, second, third, and fourth seeds in each conference host round 1 playoff matches. Seeds 7 through 10 in the Eastern Conference will compete in play-in matches. So number 7 hosts number 10, number 8 hosts number 9, and then the winners of those games advance. So it's kind of a weird situation.
Yeah, so there's not even like a first round bye anymore. It's just this play-in stuff. So even your number 1 and number 2 seeds are still playing in that first round.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess yes. So first, second, third, and fourth are guaranteed to host. I mean, it's weird because like they're calling them play-in matches, but there's technically still playoff games. So
there's no such thing as a play-in anymore because it's all single elimination.
Yeah, there is a round where not everyone is playing. It is the quote play-in round where only the bottom 4 teams are playing. But it's weird in that first, second, third, fourth, 7th, and 8th are the only teams guaranteed to host games because of how the play-in matches work. Obviously, 5th and 6th aren't participating in that round and won't be hosting games in the first round. So it's a weird situation where they finished higher than 4 other teams, but might not end up hosting any playoff games.
All right. Well, then, I mean, from that perspective, I say yes. If your goal is to hang on to a home playoff game and that not the play-in round or the knockout round or whatever you want to call it, but the first real round of playoff games, then yes, you have to win this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing is for me, the Crew are garbage on the road. They're averaging 1.1 points per game on the road, which is, I mean, it's not the worst, but it's the bottom. Let's see, I think they're like 16th out of 26 teams in points per game on the road, whereas Columbus gets 2.63 points per game at home. And that is good enough for second best in the league after Philadelphia. So this is a team that needs that home playoff spot the way that they're set up right now. So that's really my biggest reason in thinking this is a must win because you've got to stay above that 4th place line at this point. And a loss to New York City right now gives them 30 points and puts them right on Columbus's heels.
Yeah, and the other team that's right there behind us and behind Orlando is New England, who are also in really good form. They've won 4 of their last 6, drew the other, and lost the other. So we're really the only team in the top 6 right now in the East that are trending downwards and don't have any recent wins. So we if we don't win this, it's likely that not only will NYCFC catch up with us, but New England probably will as well.
Yeah, and that's not great, Bob. Okay, well, let's before we get into some score predictions, let's go ahead and recap the previous predictions that we made. So last week, Orlando versus Columbus did not happen. Brent Miller, you predicted a 2-3 Orlando loss. The game didn't happen. Darby, you predicted a 0-2 Orlando loss, and the game still didn't happen. John, you predicted a 0-3 loss, and the game did not happen.
Didn't we all predict Crew losses?
Crew losses, yes. Brent, I drink a lot, and I'm old, and I'm forgetful. This is why I ask you at the end of every episode what I forgot. But thank you for pointing that out sooner than then. Moving the fuck on. Cincinnati. Brent Miller, you predicted a 4-0 Crew victory over Cincinnati. That was extraordinarily incorrect, as the Crew shit the bed to the tune of a 1-2 loss. You get 0 points for that prediction. Darby Schnarfus, you less optimistically predicted a 2-0 Crew victory. And while that was the closest to being a correct prediction, it's still extraordinarily wrong because the Crew were garbage. 0 points. John Zadar, you predicted a 3-1 Crew victory. At any point in this game,
and I remember being given a lot of shit for even saying that Cincinnati would score on us. So y'all don't even do your normal bullshit, Darby.
No, I don't think I'm gonna have to go back and listen to the tape. I don't think I gave you shit for saying they'd score a goal
No, you definitely did. I remember
I'm pretty
very
sure it was
specifically.
exactly you doing it. Yeah.
Yep, I remember very specifically telling you to leave John alone and to not bully him like that.
There's
and
no record
you kept making fun of him
that
for that prediction.
Nobody has any audio proof of that, John. So did you feel nervous at any point in this game that if Cincinnati scored one more goal, you were going to lose 15 points?
I did mention it at one point to Keith, but honestly, and usually I am very aware of the prediction standings and the potential ramifications of the scoreline, and I am not above rooting against the crew in order to beat you guys at this game. But given the way that the night was progressing, I frankly couldn't give less of a shit at that point. I almost kind of wished that we had lost by more, specifically so that it would hopefully be the catalyst for the changes that we need to see. So, but yeah, there was a brief period where I was like, oh no, I'm going to undo all the good progress I made last week.
Yeah. I won't say, well, you know, yeah, I was like, a 3-1 would serve many purposes in this game. But that didn't happen, so you simply got no points. To review the prediction standings, fucking nothing changed. Morgan 5 points, Darby 50 points, Brent 50 points, John 60 points. Celebrate that, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Moving on. Okay. By the way, don't think I didn't notice that you moved my name to the bottom of the tie with Brent, you sons of bitches. I am very aware of what you did.
Well, Darby, do we need to relitigate this as we explained last week? When you fall down to be tied for last place, you take last place.
Yep. Oh, look at that. Oh, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't do that. He's been having so many problems this week. You're going to start something fucking up again.
All right. Yeah. Hi, Brent. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, my name is still listed as number 3, even though we're tied. Whatever. So score predictions, that just means I'll go first here. I'm going to call for a 1-1 tie. This team has not shown me that it's capable of shutting anybody out recently. They've given up 10 goals in the past 5 games, and they can't score from the run of play. So a 1-1 tie, I think, is about the best we can hope for. John, what's your prediction? No, Brent. No, John. Yeah.
Oh my God, you old bastard!
No,
make up your mind,
John. No, wait. Let me go again. Okay, John, go ahead.
Oh my God, John, just go so that he'll stop talking.
John, would you go, please? I mean, I'm tired of waiting here for you. Jesus.
I have no faith in this crew team. They couldn't even score on Cincinnati, which is a whole other issue that we didn't even really address earlier in our lamentations. It was, I feel like, largely talking about the defensive woes, but that the fact that they couldn't even score from the run of play, it took a penalty kick for them to get a goal against them, is pretty disappointing. And so that, coupled with the fact that NYCFC, like I said earlier, scored 13 goals in their last 5 games, I have zero faith that they can get a result from this game, and so I'm going to predict a 2-0 win for New York.
You said 2-0 New York?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, Columbus has not scored a deliberate goal from the run of play since, the Dallas game. Because the Jossie face goal against Montreal does not count.
No.
So they haven't scored a deliberate goal since October 3rd in run of play. All right, Brent, what you got?
All right. I think based on Caleb Porter's comments, it sounds like Aloy Room will be back this weekend. Am I understanding that correctly?
I don't listen to Caleb Porter as a general rule.
Yeah, I have no.
Well, I was reading. I wasn't listening, but
I don't know.
I think he said that Aloy Room would be back.
I think that would make a big difference.
Yeah, I have a little bit more confidence in the defense with him back there commanding them and positioning them. But the offense, without Nagby, without Celeron.
Well, to be fair, this Cincy game was supposedly early on said to be the game we might see Nagby return by. And so
no, he said it would be another week or two on Nagby and Celeron.
Same as every week, he said.
Yeah, it's the same thing every week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we for a while there we'd had the FCC game as the targeted return date, but
he did say that Nagby is ahead of Celeron, so we'll see him before we see Lucas, but still at least another week. But for the purpose of predicting this game, I'm going to go with a 0-0 draw.
0-0 draw.
Wow.
All right. Brent looking for the shutout. Aloy Room has given up 6 goals in his last 3 games, by the way.
Good for him. I'm still going to say 0-0.
Okay. I'm just putting a piece of information out there for you to digest. So if you choose to not take that into consideration, that is definitely
I am going to choose that.
An option available to you. Okay. Brent Miller. What did the old man forget?
You neglected to mention that all night long, Jordan Angeli had a really hard time not calling Pedro Santos Sanch.
Yes, she absolutely did. On at least 2 occasions, she called him Sanch, which is actually one of the funniest things I think I've seen happen in quite a while. And she's so aware that she's fucking it up. Like, she laughs at herself. There were a couple where she started to call him Sanch, and then she, like, quickly corrected herself and called him Santos. Like, it was, like, the entire game. It was hilarious. I think one time she might have called him Sanchez because she just got so wrapped up.
I thought that his name was supposed to be, because of the Portuguese pronunciation, I thought it was supposed to be Sanch.
I don't think it might be, but nobody actually does it. If you look on...
Wasn't there even a video clip of him where he said it was supposed to be Sanch? So, like, why if that's the case, she's doing it correct, right?
So there's a SoundCloud where he says it, and that's kind of where it all originated. But also, if you look at his player profile on the crew page, the pronunciation says Santos.
Okay.
Yeah, there's the whole, like, foibles of Portuguese, but I don't know that there is anybody in professional broadcasting who calls him Sanch. Except for Jordan Angeli, as it turns out.
Except for Jordan, apparently, yeah.
And she cracks it, like, she winds up laughing at herself every time because she catches it and she's like, oh shit. Yes, that was very amusing. Thank you for bringing that up, Brent. The literal only moment of joy I had in that entire game was her fucking that up over and over again. All right, lads, shall we call it a night then? Should we go do other Thursday things and try and pretend that soccer doesn't exist because we hate it?
Sounds lovely, Darby.
All right.
Yeah, this sounds like a great plan.
Okay. Well, then in that case...
Dude, okay, hold on real quick. I just went to the crew page because of what you said.
Okay.
And while it is written pronunciation Santos, there is an audio clip underneath it where he says it, and he says Sanch. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the SoundCloud link that I was talking about.
He says it twice in that clip.
Yeah. Yeah, he does, but
I
then
think it's Sanch, yo. It's Sanch.
I mean,
I
but
trust
just
the man.
nobody
He knows
says it.
his own name better than anyone else. Why would he?
If you clicked play on that right now, would we be able to hear it?
No, it's not coming through the microphone. John, what you should realize is all of this came about because Pedro was actually in the recording studio, and as they asked him to say his name, he fell down. And so you're just losing the audio.
Is that what he says when he falls down? Like, he makes a noise like Mario, like, Sanch!
He's starting to say Santos, and then he falls down and he falls away from the microphone, so you can't hear him anymore, and it just trails off.
Ah.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been fascinating, but let's sign off this stupid fucking trash pocket. So we'll do the thing, and maybe you guys will whisper, maybe you won't. Who fucking knows? But all of Lord Guillermo's people say it's definitely not ever. Stam.